All right. We're up and running. Anybody have any questions or announcements or anything
I
they
don't
want to
know.
go over
You're
before we
not an
start?
you're not an iPhone person, but those of you who are on iPhone, there is an Adobe has a new app called Adobe Project Indigo. There's a camera app which is pretty cool. It's a
Mhm.
beta right now, and it's only on iMac or iPhone at the moment, but it's free. You don't even have to have a Adobe subscription to get it. Just go to the iPhone store, App Store, and download it. And it's got some pretty cool stuff. It's a little clunky on certain things like doing macro, but they'll get it. Like I said, it's beta, so it'll be much
Yeah.
better. But it does some cool. You can do handheld images. It takes multiple images and combines them.
Mhm.
And so it even unless you're moving around a lot, a handheld image will be in focus. It's really pretty cool, and
Yeah.
it
And I
does
see
HDR
they
automatically. So it looks really cool when you put it on social media because it goes into HDR mode automatically. And it also, if you're syncing with Lightroom Classic, it automatically goes into like you tell it. You tell it. I think it doesn't do it automatically, but you can tell it to. It goes automatically into Lightroom mobile, and then obviously if you've got mobile um, syncing with Lightroom Classic, it's there when you get home. So, and I guess they're saying that they should have a Android version sometime soon. Android has many OSs. It takes a lot more time for them to create that
hmm
app than an iOS is
right.
one app, one OS. So
hmm
for Android, there's a lot of it, so it takes a lot more time for them to create it. But the rumors I'm hearing is that they're working on an Android version as well. So
Yeah, I see it looks like they had some phone overheating issues with the app at first, but they fixed that in an update.
yeah, I haven't seen any issues with that at all. I mean, my phone gets hot when I use the and it's a 16 Pro Max, so it gets
Yeah.
pretty
And
hot when you
yeah,
do anything with it. But
any
but
phone if you're especially if you're running video in it, any of
yeah,
them are going to get hot.
but yeah,
So
if you have an
uh
iPhone, give it a try because it's free.
Helga
So
has a question about what app or software you're using for phone videos for BTS behind the scenes to post on social media. So, um, yeah, I don't. Adobe has a couple options. Helga, the new thing I can't even remember what it's called might be an option, but also there's I don't know if you're using Premiere Pro, but there's Premiere Rush. You could run Premiere Rush in the phone and do that as a light version of Premiere if you're used to using Premiere.
yeah,
So
it
I
works
don't know if
pretty
that
well.
answers your
Yeah.
question.
Anything free?
Premiere Rush
Rush is
is
free.
free if you have already have Premiere Pro.
Yeah, I think it's might be free too if you just have a Adobe
It's
subscription. You might want to try
yeah,
it.
Premiere Rush might be free, and also there's that the I don't know if it you know uh you could also, I don't know if you're in the Microsoft environment or not, Helga. You could use Clipchamp, and there's a bunch of other things that as well, like equivalent to Clipchamp that are out there.
Is Rush? I didn't. I've used Rush as a like Premiere Pro, like a post processing. Is it do cam? Does it shoot as well, Jim? Do you
No,
know?
you'd have to shoot your own video, but then
Shoot the
process
video,
it
yeah. I
in
mean,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. hmm So yeah,
This,
maybe that, and I'm gonna just do a quick check here. Let's
in
see.
Indigo right now is only photo. It's not video. So when you get the little symbol like you have, like it says LR. Well, this one's PI, so it's like pi. Indigo. Project Indigo.
Helga, if you're listening, Premiere Rush is free to download and use with a starter plan. The starter plan includes unlimited free exports, a library of royalty-free audio and animated titles, and 2 GB of cloud storage. You get the starter plan within your Creative Cloud membership. Premiere Rush also offers paid plans with additional features and storage. So maybe that helps. Yeah, I use Premiere Pro, so I've never actually checked out, Premiere Rush. I just send everything to, real computer and do it. I don't push anything out of the me, I have no social media presence, so I don't push anything out to social media from my phone.
Well, I used Rush the other day because I created Midjourney, the AI generating software, just came out with video, and
Mm-hmm.
it does a pretty damn good job.
Mm.
And I took 3 videos, clips, they're like 5 seconds each, and took them into Rush and put them together with music and the transitions and the whole 9 yards, and I did it in less than an hour. So Rush works. It's like it feels a lot like Premiere Pro, but just doesn't. I mean, yeah, without all it doesn't have as many bells and whistles, obviously. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm looking at the participant list over here, and it looks like there's a couple people. I don't know if you've been to any of these before. It looks like Ron and Roy are not necessarily names I recognize to be here, but
they're new members,
okay,
new-ish
good.
members,
Well, great. I'm
and so
glad
is John.
you got the announcement, and glad you're here. This is
John,
just
John,
something
yeah, John is also a new member.
okay. Yeah,
So
this is just something I do every so often just to get people online and have some learning experiences. I kind of usually do some deep dives into things just to show you things that maybe you might not be aware of. And this is not so much about new stuff, because Adobe does a good job of if you just check out what's new in Photoshop, what's new in Lightroom, and there's plenty of good people on YouTube covering it. Photoshop Cafe, Piximperfect, all those. So I typically show you other stuff that's not just, and it's not just out there stuff. It's stuff that I actually do and use that could be helpful. So I'm going to go ahead. If we don't have any other questions or anything, I'm going to go ahead and dive into sharing the screen and get into showing you some stuff. I've got a couple images that we'll work through, and if you have questions, just interrupt at any time. Everybody is expected to, or welcome to participate, and I don't mind going down rabbit holes. Any of you guys that have been here before know that.
Jim is the head rabbit around here.
Just call me
He
Jack.
has a lot of little holes he goes down into.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let me figure out
Lynn,
which screen I'm looking at.
Lynn, what was the name of that iPhone thing that you talked about?
Project Indigo.
Okay, thank
Indigo.
you.
Yeah,
Like, yep,
Indigo.
like the
Color
deep blue color or the snake.
snake.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think okay, I think today it's screen 3. Let's see. Oh, you see a black and white picture of a tunnel?
No, we just see it said it has started a screen share. Now we see it.
All right, so you are seeing the same one of the 3 screens that's my main screen.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're seeing Lightroom.
Yep. Okay. Fantastic. All right.
Where is that at?
That's in South Carolina.
Oh,
It's a railroad tunnel that was never completed because the Civil War broke out and they stopped construction of it. So at one time it was used to age blue cheese, and now you can go there and walk through it.
no cheese.
Like cheese.
Mm-hmm. Brian was here when we did this. I think this very puddle was one of the puddles where Brian got some learning experience in reflections.
I have a similar photo, but not as good as yours.
And you didn't
And
drop your camera in it?
No,
and what you might not know, this just happens to be because this is what I posted on my website last night. It's just what came up. But what you don't know from looking at this is this puddle is only about 18 to 20 inches long and only about a quarter to a half an inch deep. And the camera was just sitting on a rock in the puddle.
It looks like it goes on
it looks
forever.
it looks gigantic because it's an
Yeah.
8 millimeter lens.
Yeah.
So the 8 millimeter lens, just makes it look like a lake,
Yeah, it does.
even though there's a little puddle like this. So it's a good thing I don't have all my drives connected to this catalog. There we go. No, okay. Here's
Mexico,
what's that?
New Mexico.
Yeah, that's the Very Large Array, the home of the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Yeah, I was there on a very overcast and cloudy day once, many, many years ago. And what I'm gonna cover a few things using this image as an example. So it was a really overcast day with a bunch of cloud layers that were looking really cool. And I deliberately underexposed even more than I should have, really, just to make sure I got every detail in those clouds. I didn't want to lose any detail in those clouds. But the other thing that happens, this is just the straight out of the camera shot, by the way. Nothing's been done to it yet. As can happen on a really seriously overcast day like this, auto white balance, especially on the camera I was using at the time, favored the blue end. You get a lot of blue in it. And that's one of the things I'm going to show you some techniques to deal with here. Because, and you know what? Since I'm recording this, I have to move my Zoom window with all your faces out of the way so that the Zoom recording doesn't cover up the controls like happened before. So you could go in here, and the first thing you might be tempted to do is say, well, let's do auto white balance. Okay, everything's kind of a yucky brown now. I don't like that guy. You guys see that on your end?
Yeah.
Those
Yes.
those clouds got icky. I don't want that. I want to neutralize the blue, but I don't want to turn them brown or yellow. So if I get the eyedropper, and these radio telescopes are white, they are white. So you go here and you say, okay, well, this telescope is white. Well, the same thing happens, but not to as bad an extent. But I still don't like the white balance in that. And there's still a lot of warmth that it put into the white telescopes underneath. I don't want that either. I'm picking up on and adding on. Remember, we did this before and we were talking about blending modes. There was a blending mode we never discussed then because we wanted to keep it light with the most commonly used blending mode. But there is another blending mode that's actually fantastic for doing this in Photoshop. Has anyone ever touched the divide blend mode? I'm going to show you where it actually can be a useful thing here. It's perfect for taking out color casts, actually, without shifting it, because what we're doing here with the white balance things we were doing in Lightroom, it's just adding yellow to counteract the blue. The divide blend mode in Photoshop uses totally different math, totally different algorithm to take out the color cast. We don't need to go into the math. I actually know the math formula, but you don't care.
You're right.
Not go down that rabbit hole.
But here's the technique. Here's what you have to do. You have to create another layer on this, and it's a solid color layer. But what you want to do is you want to sample something with the color cast. You want to find something, hopefully in your image, that should be white or close to white. And I mean really close to white. So I'm actually going to go in, and I have my brush tool enabled now. I have the brush tool enabled. Yes, I have a brush tool enabled. And you sample colors with the brush tool by holding your Alt or Option key down, and now you get a sample picker. So I'm going to go right here in this brighter area right here. You don't want clipped white that has no detail. You want to find something that should be white and has detail. So it's also that it's a good, that's another good thing that I underexpose this a little bit because I can find a really bright white highlight here and sample that color. So you see over here, the swatch has that color now. All you want to do is sample something that's pretty close to white, but still has enough detail in it for it to pick up an actual color. So we've got that. And you go here to create a new fill or adjustment layer. And you pick the very first one, solid color. And it just gives you a layer with that color that we sampled. It just picks this swatch to give you a color. And that's all you need to do. You just say, okay. And then here's where the divide mode comes in. Just go down here and you choose divide.
Well,
Now you see it took the color cast out without injecting yellow into the image. Now you're going to say, oh, it got bright. We may have lost some detail up here. You're right. Here's the next step to remember. Double click this little icon right here in this layer where it has the color. And you see this slider right here?
mm-hmm.
You push it. You see what's happening to the image as I push it?
Yeah.
You push it until you have the amount of detail you want.
Can you do that again, Jim, from the beginning? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. See, there's our start. And there's that versus, oops. Yeah, I lost Lightroom. How about that? Let Lightroom start up again.
I think I missed a step.
Yeah, no, I'll walk through it again.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
While you're doing that, Jim, did you export the photo from Lightroom to Photoshop?
Yes, I did.
On a cloudy day when you're shooting, what do you use for white balance? Do you just use?
Well, I shoot raw, so I don't necessarily pay
It doesn't
attention to
matter.
that.
Yeah, I shoot
Yeah,
raw too, so it
yeah.
doesn't matter.
But
Okay,
yeah, like I say, if I go here and sample the same place, it kind of gets
right. I saw that.
brown, yellow. When I say it's
Right.
and auto looks really bad there
Yeah.
versus
I lost you when you went to Photoshop.
that. So I'll
Wow.
redo it.
Okay, thank you.
Super
Why,
simple.
why do they call it divide?
Because that's the actual math that is used. Yeah, it's sampled color divided by current color divided by color of layer below. There's a math where there's three different divisions taking place as the formula. If I wrote out the formula, you'd see why it was called divide.
Okay.
It's A divided by B divided by C in brackets. That's the formula. But here you go. I just sent, this is an unedited image I sent over. Brush tool. Go in, alter option, sample a highlight that should be white, but still has color that can be sampled.
Okay,
Go over here, choose solid color.
that's what I missed. Okay.
Say okay. Change blending mode to divide. Double click the color patch and then adjust the slider
That's really cool.
to get whatever detail you want. And if I have an overall color cast, especially like from shooting from an overcast day, this is actually my go-to method versus just trying to do eyedropper or white balance or something like this, because this is actually not a white balancing technique. This is a neutralize a color cast technique, which is different than white balance. So
It's really cool.
that would be my
Can
starting
you
point.
can you
Jim,
do this
Olga
when you
has
have
a
a
question in the
fluorescent
chat.
cast or a incandescent cast?
Oh, any color. Yeah,
Yeah.
this will work with, with a color cast of any color that exists. Yeah, this is commonly what will happen a lot in landscapes. If you shoot on an overcast day, you'll end up with a blue color cast. But if you're shooting under strange lighting, yes, you'll get all kinds of color casts. The thing is, find something that should be white under that, colored lighting and do this technique. Now, if it's already white in your image, you have a problem because it's not going to pick up a color out of something that's, that's the highlights are clipped and you don't have detail in. But as long as you can pick up a color in something that's supposed to be white, you can do this. So
Has a
this
question in the chat.
question in chat.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I all right. I don't have Zoom window up. Do you want to read it to me, or do you want me to switch over?
No, it's okay. I can read it.
Thanks, Lynn.
Okay. Question for the divide. If I shoot in the shadows, a black dog gets a blue tint on its fur. Would the divide method work also to correct the blue of the fur if I can find a highlight? If I just mask it on the dog, would that
Yeah.
remove the blue tint?
It moves.
If I try
It
Adobe Camera
removes
Raw,
it.
I have to push it into too much yellow.
It removes it from the whole image. That it takes that specific color out. You can do it multiple times if there are other areas, other things you want to neutralize. You can do that. This neutralized this specific color out of the entire image. The color that's in that swatch, this foreground color, it neutralized that from the entire image. So just and like I say, the idea is, like I say, you're supposed to be able to find something that should be white to do it in your image. So I think the answer is yes, you could do that in that instance if I understood it correctly. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to go ahead and sample again those mountains back there.
What? No, it just works.
Yeah, and see, this is
Tell me how it just works.
Oh,
that really piled up on there. But let's see if we can pull it back. Yeah, see, that's overkill doing it twice in one image. Yeah, that does not work well because
Although-
For this image.
oh, yeah, although it makes so much contrast that if you convert it to black and white, it'd actually be really kind of cool.
Mhm. Yeah, and so actually this image right here, to take it from here, as far as I'm concerned, there's actually still more blue in it that I want to take out, but my satellite dishes have been neutralized, very well. That's what I was concerned with. The sky itself is still going to have blue in it, which is normal for this situation. But for me, I'm saying there's still more blue there than I want. So in this case, since I'm already in Photoshop, it's simple. I'm going to go here to the hue saturation thing. But here's the thing I don't know if people know. This is the new version of hue saturation in Photoshop. And the new version has something really cool in it. If you click this drop down, there's a choice here that says prominent colors. It's actually going to analyze this image and give you selections of the most prominent colors in this image. See how these swatches just changed?
Wow.
These
Yeah.
are now the prominent colors that it has detected from this image. So this is the color that I think it exists still, too much for my taste. So I'm going to go there and say, yeah, let me tone that down, because now I'm dealing with the sky. The first thing I did dealt with the radio telescopes. This now is dealing with the sky. That's that prominent color that was in the sky. So you can tweak that here. Now I'm getting something that's much more like what I wanted. This is getting more in line with how it was when I was there. So there's something else I'm going to do. The foreground should be warmer. in this case. It is a little kind of pale and greenish looking. So that's another thing I'm going to go after in this image is that.
Hey, Jim,
Yeah.
if you did a sky selection and you did that, could you take out the blue out of the sky that way?
Mm-hmm. And it took it out of it anyway, because that's the only place that color was existing
Okay.
because it was gone from the satellite dishes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So the issue that you have to be careful with sky masks is halos around sharp edges.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. And halos like to happen around sharp edges no matter what. And we're going to see that in a minute here. So I know Brian's ears perked up. I'm going to do something that actually is notorious for creating halos, but can show you how to mitigate that. So
To turn the grass warmer, Jim, could
mhm.
you use one of those colors that you selected as that one of the colors that it shows as prominent? Find the one that's closest and do it that way.
No, in this case, I actually just want to add a filter on it and adjust that. And
Okay.
there are actually many ways you could do this for the sake of education and showing you guys some stuff here. This
Okay.
is something that's been around forever and doesn't get a lot of love these days. Is we find it here.
Jim, but if she wanted to do that, she could, right? Would that be an option for her?
You know, you could take one of these and you could tweak this. You know, I want something, not
Right.
red and not yellow.
Okay.
Yeah, you see the issue here.
There's no temperature slider there, so that's kind of hard to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, it's
Yeah.
not really giving me,
Stop.
that's not too bad right there.
Yeah. I just was wondering, but I'd love
Mhm.
to see the
No, it's a
photo.
good question. That's a good question. My go-to for something like this is likely going to be one of these filters here.
Keep forgetting
We used
about
to have to screw on the front of our cameras,
What's that?
which we had to use to screw on the front of our cameras.
Yep, these are what you used to exactly put on the front of your camera. Yeah.
Come
It's,
on.
Jim, these are in
It's like these.
Photoshop now, or are these things you've added on or downloaded?
That's legacy stuff that's in there.
Okay.
But that did it to the whole thing.
Yes,
Give them a
it
minute.
did. Yep, so you'll see what I'm just looking, all I'm doing is looking at the foreground right now with this. And this is one option. And then the simple thing is here, take your mask, invert it, make a white brush,
Okay, and paint it on.
and yeah, you can do,
Yeah, that's cool.
okay, you can do that. Kind of put it where you want. That's one technique. Now, another thing that you can do, which I would often do in place of that, this is going back to what Robert was teaching.
Colorado.
I'm going to hit more on that
Color grading.
color grading,
Oh my gosh.
color lookup, color grading using a color lookup. There's a couple nice ones in here for this that can be even nicer than the photo filters right here.
Fall colors.
Crisp warm look is one. Now that faded back is probably going to be a decent choice. Yeah, and also the fall colors look.
Yeah.
That's it's a little bit lighter in what's going on there.
My goodness, come here.
Soft warming look, ick. But I say crisp warm look is one I go to a lot, simply if I want to warm something up. Fade it back a little bit, probably in there. That's kind of the color I remember those grasses and whatnot to be. Again, invert your mask, and you can just paint that in.
That's really cool.
So this is starting to get in the ballpark of what I want to do for this. Now I also want to open up the shadows in here and whatnot. There's a couple ways you can do that. You do have to get to a pixel layer to do these. So I'm going to do the famous 4-finger command, Shift Control Alt E or Shift Command Option E, which stamps everything into a new visible layer. It's called Stamp Visible. So there you got that. And at this point, you can go with shadows, highlights. And by the way, if you ever go to use this, if this is not something you've used before or you don't know, by default,
The fact that you refuse to.
by default, it only looks like this.
Doesn't work.
You don't want that.
No more options. Yeah.
You want this. It's much more refined if you get the extra sliders, and we'll show you some things you can do with those.
Okay.
So in this instance,
Major problem.
only down here in the bottom, I want to open up the shadows. So I have the option of doing this, and then again, just using that mask, I can open that up.
Did you go back to your old mask?
But I don't want that to happen to the sky. What did you say, Diana?
Did you go back to your old mask?
You nailed it on the head. You see my mask for the ground right here?
Yeah.
This is why I didn't flatten the image.
Right. Okay. Got it.
If you hold Alt or Option while you click that mask, you don't have to make that mask again. It just duplicates that mask.
That's neat. Yeah.
So now we've opened up the foreground. Now, one of the things about this image was the sky. The sky was so dramatic, and these radio telescopes were pointed at this very dramatic sky. So you can pump that up, and you can use that same thing again. Now, what I need to do is I need to duplicate this, but invert the mask so that it happens in the sky. So I'm going to duplicate this layer. You could go Command or Control J, or you can just do that. And now we want to invert that mask because we're going to deal with the sky.
And you can open the shadows there.
And now I'm going to make that sky, add a little drama to the sky. Same thing, image, adjustments, shadows, highlights. These controls, by the way, if you push them, these are a couple in Photoshop that are notorious for creating halos. So, I need to actually be, I don't want to work on the mask. I want to work on the actual pixels. So see what this highlight slider is doing to that sky for the drama?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
However, you see what's happening around there?
Yeah.
Oh, you see that? This is why you want this expanded version, because you see this radius control?
Right.
This radius control affects the radius of the halo. So watch, if I lower this down, you see that halo going away?
Yeah.
However, that drama disappears from the sky as well. So the trick is to expand the radius to where it blends out, to where that halo blends out and becomes not noticeable. So you can go very kind of far out with that. And now that halo is actually stretched out and feathered to where it doesn't become so noticeable. Yeah, I would back off on that a little bit. The other thing you get when you have the extra options is this midtone slider, which is a midtone contrast. See what that does?
Yeah.
Huh?
That's one of the real tricks in this, is to hit that. And see the difference of what we're doing to that sky?
Yeah.
That's giving that sky some of that drama now that you would want. So that's coming along. And I would say, yep, I'll apply that. Overall, I still want the image to be just kind of brighter overall, but I don't want to kill the highlights. I want to keep the highlights where they are, but take everything from below the highlights and push them up. This is where a luminosity mask comes in. If you've got a Windows PC, this is very easy to do. With a lot of Apple computers, this is difficult to do, but there's complicated workarounds. But if you have that TK panel,
TK9.
TK, they've done all the Mac workarounds for you so that you can just push buttons and do this instead of all the hoops you have to jump through if you have an Apple that won't do these commands. What you want to do from here, the command is Shift Control Alt 2 or Shift Command Option 2 if your Apple computer will do it. That's step one. Shift Control Alt 2 or Shift Command Option 2. This gives you a selection that you need to invert. At this point, you can select inverse right here, or you can do it on the keyboard, Shift Control I, either one, Shift, or Shift Command I to invert it.
Which is a major
Why are
problem.
you inversing it?
Because that's what you need to have for the next step. Because the next step is once you make that selection and then you invert it, then you want a levels adjustment layer. And it creates an amazing mask on a levels adjustment layer. Look at how beautifully detailed that mask is. You could never in a million years draw that mask yourself.
Yeah. But that's why TK9 comes in handy.
Yeah, if you're an Apple user, you betcha. So the trick then is here. Now you see this levels adjustment has this great big gap right here. This is how you can brighten up everything but the highlights. The highlights are protected by that mask.
Right.
That's why this is empty over here. So as long as you take this triangle right here and push it, as long as you keep it outside of this histogram, you will not clip your highlights. Once you push inside of there, yes, you can clip your highlights, but this allows you to brighten up your image.
Wow, look at that.
As far as you want without ever clipping a highlight. No highlights will be clipped until this triangle crosses that threshold. Then you have clipped highlights. So this is something I do over and over and over. I've done this to so many thousands of images over the years, I couldn't tell you. This is how I like to open up an image while protecting the highlights, is with this luminosity mask on levels adjustment. You can also grab this adjustment right here, play with it. You can pull in your blacks if you want to. You don't often need to do that, but sometimes you do. So I'm opening this image up without sacrificing any highlights. It's a very elegant way to do that. So say,
Jim, you often
yeah, I
talk
like it there. What, Brian?
You often talk about how you try to streamline your process so that because you're working, and you're doing so many images for your shoots, and it just seems like something like this is not a streamlined process if you're doing it to so many photos.
I'll tell you what, I have these things recorded as actions, and they're set to push buttons right here. They're all on push buttons and knobs right here. So in my case, I'm just pushing buttons.
Okay. Glad I asked the question. That makes it a lot more logical.
Mm-hmm. So yes, I do this over and over and over again by having actions recorded and then having those actions tied to that little console I showed you with all those buttons on the screen. And it's not limited to those what is it 20 buttons and 6 knobs, because then you can have a button that switches it to another screen full of buttons and another screen full of buttons and another screen full of buttons. And yeah, so that's how I keep it fast. That's just over here under my left hand. It's practically an extension of my keyboard.
Glad
Helga has another thing in the chat. She says, on the levels, moving the sliders, I usually, when I try to move the sliders, use it with the Alt button. So it shows me when I start clipping either highlights or blacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a normal situation, that's true. In this, since we have a luminosity mask associated with this, and we're working on the luminosity channel, you can tell right from this, as long as you keep this white triangle out of the histogram, your highlights are safe. And that's because of this mask right here. This mask, you see the dark areas right here, which are the bright areas that everything is protected. That's the bright areas. So what's protected in this is all this range from here up, almost from just past the middle, almost from like 127 up. This looks like maybe from about 140 up to 255 is protected, as long as you keep that slider out of there. Now, I don't always push it to there. I'll definitely bring it in somewhere that I like, and then you can tweak these to your liking in there as well. Because as you push this white one down, it pushes the middle arrow down as well, which this is the one that's really, causing the most things to happen. And so you can do this and you can tweak that, and have a lot of control as to where you want to go with that.
That's really pretty.
So just with these 2 layers, there's what we did with that sky that I thought was, one of the cool things about this image there. So, and I also do want to still, I think the foreground's a little dark. I would lighten that up as well on this. And there's, a million ways you could do that. I could pull my foreground up to right there. And again, because I have the mask saved, I would just put the mask there and say, yeah, so there, just pulled up the foreground using a curve that I can tweak. And then that would be pretty much for it. But and Diana, I know you always ask about this. I'm going to go here.
Oh,
I shot this really wide, but you talk about cropping and cropping lessons.
Yes.
There's actually several ways you can go with this. This is the original shot. Really includes a lot of sky. You've got some options. You can say, okay, I don't want that much sky in this. So yeah, there's an option that you could go with. And you could even change it up. Actually, what I did in my final version on this, if I remember right, I think I went with something more like this. And you can have these kind of see this nice alignment on these
Mhm,
telescopes now.
mhm.
And if you want to make it even more about those radio telescopes, you could even bring it more
Turn
like,
the sky down.
I think something like that was
Mhm,
my actual
How to help you with that.
final version on this.
mhm. How did you get that grid that you have on your crop? I never
Oh,
crop.
that's actually in my version of Photoshop. That's the default overlay, and
Oh,
I've never changed it off of the default because I kind of like it.
okay.
Now
Jim,
In Lightroom, you can change that. The letter O changes that.
Okay.
Um, Actually, maybe
I'm just curious, Jim,
yeah, okay. And the letter O works in Photoshop too. See,
what was the aperture that you shot this at?
uh,
16 or so
this
minimum?
was this was many years ago on an old Pentax DSLR, but Lightroom would tell me f16,
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
23 millimeters f16.
Yeah. Okay.
Jim, how did you get in there to photograph?
Because it's open to the public.
Oh, okay.
Now you can't walk out there where the telescopes are. This was shot, from the fence where you can't walk any farther.
Okay. I was like, wow, it must be
That's
That's a really
secure.
cool shot.
that's why from this perspective, this is the point where you often see so many photos of these telescopes. Anybody like Dire Straits, the
Mm-mm.
band Dire Straits? They have an album with this picture. Practically the telescopes are pointed a little more straight up in their
Oh, yeah.
picture, but it's taken from the exact perspective and in fact in their on their album, it's a square, so it's closer to this. You only get like these satellites in it, and it's a square. Theirs is a 1-to-1. Of course, it's an album cover. Yeah, that's so there's a Dire Straits album that has that on the cover, but the telescopes are pointed more straight up. But it's taken from the same spot.
Wow.
So there, like I say, something like this, this gave me a lot of different cropping options. Actually, even this square crop is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Jim, after you've finished in Photoshop, do you prefer to crop in Photoshop or send it back to Lightroom to crop?
Normally, I do it in Lightroom, so it's not destructive. We just happened to be here in Photoshop, so I did that. But you are absolutely right. This would go back to Lightroom, and then cropping would be done there to not be destructive. Because if I hit save on this now, yeah, I've lost the rest of that image. Can't go back to it. So absolutely, I would not, in real life, crop it here. That's whoever said that. Thank you for bringing that up. That is absolutely correct. I would, yeah, this is what would go back to Lightroom. And yes, the cropping would be done there. It's taking a minute because there's a whole bunch of layers on this 16-bit image.
And you purposely didn't flatten them in case you want to go back.
Yeah, because I could go back and mess around with that. So yeah, back in Lightroom. And before I close that, I should have asked any questions on that. Did anybody want to see any of that again? Did anybody have any questions or comments on what I was doing there for education moments and learning?
No.
Nope. If anybody, hopefully, if anybody was able to add something to their toolbox on that, then great.
Your potlucks are always so incredible, Jim. They really are so
Thanks.
helpful. Thank you so much for doing them.
And I'm going to pick up now because it came up when Robert was talking about color grading. Some simplified some simplified things, picking up on what Robert was talking about with the color, because color grading is great. And I know some people were probably just overwhelmed with what was happening last time around. So just as an example, like you know, here's an original image as shot. There's a color graded image.
Oh, wow.
No, it doesn't look anything like the original, but that's not the intent. My intent when I do stuff like this is to sell prints and whatnot. And no, that doesn't sell for stock or prints.
Mm-mm.
That does. It's not what it really looked like at all, but it's color graded to do that. Like I say, I color grade so many of my landscape images with the intent of just having that extra visual impact that makes them look great as a print that is not necessarily documentary of how things actually looked. And
Go
we'll
back
take
to
another.
the original, please, Jim.
What?
Go back to the original. Can you put them side by side, please?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it makes a big difference in the visual and emotional impact, of the image.
So when you have the warmth on the sky and the mountain there, is that all one color grading used just on that part? Or is that multiple
It
color grades applied?
I mostly I will I will show you something. Mostly I use a plugin that is for color grading.
Okay.
Now, here's the caveat. When I show it to you,
You can't use it.
you can't buy it anymore. It is a discontinued product. If you ever owned it, you can still actually download it and install it and use it with your original license key. Now, I contacted it's a plugin from Topaz Labs.
Uh-huh.
I wrote to Topaz and said, "This is my favorite plugin. I use it all the time, and because this is the case, I have some students that say, 'Oh my gosh, I want to use this
Yeah.
software.'" So I said, "Is there any way to still buy license keys for it?" And they said, "Unfortunately, no. However, since you are a photography instructor, you have permission from us to share your license key with students." So anybody who's a student that has taken lessons from me that wants to use this and has um, a Windows machine, because my license key is for a Windows
Oh,
installation.
very bummer. Yeah, shoot.
I do
That's
have
not
written
fair.
authorization from Topaz Labs to share it with you.
What's the plugin?
It is called Topaz Restyle, and it is far and away my most favorite plugin that I've used more thousands of times than I could ever imagine for doing this. Because
got our hopes
what it
up.
does, it creates a gradient map, and it creates a 5-zone gradient map, and then does color grading across 5 zones in the image with five colors. Well, up to 5 colors. Anywhere from 2 to 5 colors. And the plugin has 1,000 pre-made color gradient maps in it with previews that make it really easy and nice. So that is my go-to thing, but we'll work through a couple things here.
So I just looked it up on Google just for fun and giggles.
Mm-hmm.
The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly has Topaz Restyle, the blast from the past, and he has a whole video on it.
Mm-hmm.
So does TK have anything like that? I wonder.
I don't know. I don't use TK. I can't answer that.
Okay.
But we'll just start with this. It's great for landscapes especially if you have clouds in the sky, overcast, texture in the sky. Color grading really works great for instances like that. Let's send this thing over to Photoshop anyway, but I'll show you some things, unrelated to that program. Well, let's turn off that
Jim,
crop tool.
did Topaz discontinue that, or do they have a newer version?
No, they
that
do not have a newer version. They said because they're concentrating on the AI stuff now, and it's not AI. They said they don't want to keep up with the old non-AI plugins and trying to keep them compatible with the ever-changing Adobe landscape. Now, I have Photoshop 2025, and my plugin from 10 years ago at least still works in Photoshop 2025. So
December 19th, 2024, you could, I just looked it up. They had, as a 2024, you could do it.
you could do what?
Oh, it's not available. Never mind.
Yeah,
I looked it up.
Topaz stopped selling it in 2019.
Yeah.
But I say they did give me written permission to share my version and license key with students, which was very generous of them. I thought that was very, very, very nice customer service on the part of Topaz Labs. But in any case, without going to that, and without you saw last week, futzing with the color wheels and everything. I do that occasionally, but it's definitely not my favorite way to color grade an image. I do not like pushing things around on the color wheels. That's me. I find it clunky and and without finesse. But one of the things to remember is you do have right here in Photoshop this color lookup. The built-in ones, are, a couple of them are not bad. The default colors look, the crisp warm look, is works well a lot if you want to go with golden. And these are, by the way, they are intentionally overkill. They are intended to be, to be finessed with the opacity. They are deliberate overkill, because they don't know what your image is and how strong you need it to be, but they are always overkill when you drop them on. But I always give these a chance, and and bring the opacity up, and you can put multiple ones in different areas and whatnot. A couple of these are not bad. Now, the thing to know is you can go out there and there's tons of packs that you can buy these for free and add them, and you can make your own. I have like you see right here, this is one that I like. I put my initials on it, so I know it's one that I made. And so something like that. Yeah, there's a couple options in here.
If you buy them, they're called color lookup tables.
Yeah, you can if you just Google color lookup for Photoshop, or lookup tables for Photoshop. You can find them. Yeah, so something like this, there's a nice sky. Of course, I would mask it out. This is a case where I would definitely say, select sky, invert that, and put it on the mask. And just let that hit the sky and go from there. You don't have to do it to the entire image. You can apply these things within masks in Photoshop, which is nice. Now, I'll show you, and I'm going to pop open a different example just to show you from,
Huge,
here we go.
Functions is a major problem for me. Like I said, you refuse to answer one question about what happens. Is a major problem for me.
I can't hear you, Brian. I'm sorry, Brian, what were you saying?
Never mind. Never mind. Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Still,
Yeah. So here's just to give you another example of the power of color grading. And this is, I actually used 5 different presets from the Topaz Labs plugin on this, but it shows you just how drastically you can vary an image and get your audience to have a certain feel about it. So this is the original out of camera right here. And so there's the original right there, actually. There's the original right there. Look, there's early morning breakfast. There's early lunch. There's late lunch. There's early dinner. There's late dinner. And these are just color grading. This is not done with exposure or anything like that. This is simply color grading from that original image right here. Just choosing how you go with the color grading can totally manipulate how the image feels to your audience and what it looks like. And these all came from that Topaz plugin.
So I have to ask this question. The foreground jars that are out of focus are a major distraction to me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is the uncropped image, and I focused on this. And, I've actually never done anything to this image other than this as an example for you guys. So this image never made it anywhere. So yeah, in reality, it probably would have been cropped more where, so that your attention would go to this and less of this. So,
Great.
But yeah, this is something that I don't think I've ever done anything with other than I said, oh, look, that's a good example of what can be done with the power of color grading.
Jim, how could we do this in Photoshop if we don't have the Topaz plugin?
It can be done not so easy. That's the thing. This is where it gets into what that program does. What that software does is, see gradient map right here.
Mhm.
You can go in and let me see if I can find where to if I can load the other ones. There's a trick to getting the old. There's some old legacy ones that you can put in here, and that's not going to do it. I forget off the top of my head while we're doing this what the trick is, but you can go in and yeah, we'll go. And you can pick, something to start with.
Now, absent the plugin, if we went to Photoshop to the color lookup wheel, and then use the options within that, we could see variations on color grading for our photos.
Yeah, you can create, and that the beautiful thing about that Topaz plugin was somebody created 1,000 of these, but you can go in here and there's a way to shift these colors and add trying to remember the way to add points. You can add as many of these as you want and change the colors within them. Oh. And then you can set these up to have different ranges of colors that are going to happen at the different ends of the, from the dark to the light, etc. And it's a complex process to set up your own. And what the plugin does is it has 1,000 of these set up that actually work well with photos. You see, I'm just doing, weird stuff here with these colors.
Tell me the name again of that Topaz program, Jim,
It's
please.
called Restyle. And if just, I don't want to, show a bunch of people something, that they
No,
can't
no.
use anymore, but
no, exactly.
I'll,
No.
I'll show it to you here. The trick is, if you have it and you're going to use it, make sure you duplicate your layer, because you don't want it will hit your background layer. You need it to go on another layer so that you can adjust the opacity, because again, just like when you go in Photoshop and go to the lookup tables, they're stronger, they're very strong, and you need to back them off. So you need to do that on another layer. So I'm just duplicating a layer there, and then we're going to go. And if you choose the grid mode, now you can see, remember that gradient that I was just working on? Do you see the 5 color gradients that are listed under these?
Yeah.
And you get all these previews, and they're strong, so you can go through. The beauty of this program is you can say, oh, there's 1,000 in here to look at. You can say, well, I do kind of like this one, but let me look at some others. You can say, yeah, this one lightened up might not be too bad. That's a kind of a different look. You can go through, and there's, they have them grouped, and you get, many different variations that work with many different types of images. Something that looks fantastic, on one image, may be pretty horrible on another image. It all depends on what's in your image to start with, as to what you want to work with. And you can see, you get different vibes and moods and emotional feels with the different versions of the colors. That are in some of these. And when you mark some that you like, I'll find one more that might not be too shabby.
Jim, I just happened to look up TK9 color grading.
Oh, they have a color grading?
Yep.
It might be similar to this, and if so, that's fantastic.
I haven't. I mean, this is a Dave Kelly, and it's from 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Want me to share it?
And once you select some, you just go over here and you look and say, okay, yeah, there were things, you can see, okay, here were my favorite choices. What do I actually want to go with here? And so I'd be primarily looking at the, sky with this. Yeah, and bring that in, and of course, definitely mask it. But that's how that program works. If anybody's interested in it, can get it or acquire anything, similar. Or like I say, if you're operating in Windows environment and want to see if my license key and version will work for you, you're welcome to it. Like I
If you
say,
can,
look at that flat sky, and there's look at it now, much
Big
nicer.
difference.
Yeah, and that's like I say that's one of my favorite ways of doing it versus some of these other more complicated ways. Now I'll jump in and we'll do something else.
if you could make a recommendation on another plugin, what would that be?
I don't know because once I got a hold of this plugin,
Yep.
I was off to the races and I've never stopped using it, ever.
Okay.
So yeah, but Diana just says she ran across something from TK that might be
I just sent it to you, Jim.
might be worthwhile.
Put it in the chat.
I just texted. I don't know how to do that from my phone.
Copy and paste. If you can send it to him.
On my phone?
Just put it in the chat.
Hmm.
Well, if you're not on the chat, if you're not on Zoom on your phone, you can't do that. No.
That's what I'm saying. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, I can't do that. But I can send it to you. Can you do it?
Yeah, just send it to me and I'll put it in there.
Okay. I just sent it to Jim before.
Is it in the chat?
No, I sent it to your phone.
He's on her
Oh,
phone.
okay. Yeah, all right.
I'll put it in the chat. She just sent it to me.
But yeah, here's one where we can do some of that work outside of using that software. So this is one that this was Lynn was there with me when I took this photo, and you can see the incandescent light spilling all over this all over the windowsill, these dead flowers that are in front of this window. So again, this is first thing I would go here in Photoshop is brush tool, and I'm going to find something that has color cast on it that's close to white. And just like we did before,
as a legacy.
solid color. And that shows me right there. This is the color cast that exists. I'm going to tell it okay. And then we're going to go to divide blend mode to neutralize that color cast that exists there. Oh, there it is. So already look at the difference. Now look at the flowers in there and how much more natural the wood, is looking here. We killed that weird color cast out of there just with that. Now from that point, I would definitely say I want to open this up. Come on. And again, we can go to that adjustment, shadows, highlights. That's one quick way of coming in here and dealing with this. Now that's really bringing out some more color cast in there, but at least I'm opening it up. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to sample this again since it's flattened back down to one image. Yeah, let me get in there. Solid color. Okay. Divide. And push that slider up.
Where are you? Oh.
Bring some detail back.
There's a big lag, guys. About an 8-second lag.
What's that, Lynn?
Yeah, there's a lag. It's what you're saying and what you're actually doing on the screen is not matching at the moment.
Oh, okay.
There's a lag.
Yeah, flowers and stuff don't look too bad, but boy, that what's back there in the window sure is a mess, isn't it? And there's something I did something I did wrong. I forgot a step all the way back here. I didn't push that up. There we go. Yeah, and in this case, I think this is more a case I lost the highlights doing it the other way, where I'm going to go back to the luminosity mask, which is Shift Control Alt 2 or Shift Command Option 2, and then you invert it, and then you go to levels. Yeah, this is more of a starting point for something I do with this image right there. Yeah, I would call that a starting point, and then say, color grade, et cetera, crop. Let's do something here. I'm going to show you a way to make your own lookup table for Photoshop. It involves doing whatever you want to with all these adjustments, and then you can actually save that as your own lookup table and put it in there. So we'll do that. Let's do something with this. And you want to do it all with adjustment layers. And you can even involve an existing color lookup as part of it and still use it as a basis for your own. Let's see what might look good with this. So that's something we can do. And this is, just for example purposes. And we can go in here and let's say we want to tweak the curve a little bit. Kind of like this pastel look it's starting to get. We can do this. Remember, prominent colors.
How did you get into? Oh God, I missed one step. Sorry, Joe.
You want me to do that again, Diana?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just I took my eye off for a second and boom.
Yeah, it's hue saturation,
Yeah,
which
there
is
you go.
available here
Okay.
if you have the adjustments palette open,
Okay.
or it's also available, from down
Okay.
here.
Got it.
You can
Okay.
get. I do these so often that I don't want to keep popping this open and going
Okay.
through a list, so I just keep them all up here.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'm actually going to say, I kind of like this muted pastel look. I'm going to keep driving it in that direction and develop a look with this image that I might want to keep and apply to some other images. Kind of a nice high key bleach bypass look here. And by the way, this is, for your overall. Yeah, so you can work with any of these things in here and get a stack of adjustment layers that give you a look that you think, okay, I'd like to save this look and be able to apply this to some other things. In fact, let's even do this. Let's put another curve on it. Let's really make it high key. And on curves, I don't know if you're aware of this, you can put points on a curve that they call lockdown points. If you put a couple points on a curve and then get some other points on it and only use some, it's locked. You see how the curve is now locked down and the whole curve is not being adjusted.
So how did you do that?
I just put several points on the curve and then,
just clicked on it
in where I want. And as opposed to if I were to reset this, if you put single points, see how the whole curve moves. But once you have a point in place, and you add any more points, nothing the other side of one of those points work. So you can actually put, multiple points, around on a curve, even just one in the middle, and lock it and just work the shadows and the highlights, independently from each other.
Really neat.
So you can say, okay, yeah, this is, and then overall, okay, got kind of an interesting bleach bypass high key look going on here. We can say, okay, yeah, we like this. I want to save this look for future use, and I don't want to remember all of this crazy stuff that I did here. I just want to be able to apply this in one fell swoop. You can save this to appear in this color lookup list.
Okay.
Huh. By
How?
Sounds like.
Mhm. You go when you go here, and then you see this is checked, or it says load 3D LUT.
Yeah.
What,
right.
if you double click this, okay, this lets you get to where you can have things that are saved outside of your computer. But we actually want to get one and have it appear in the list. So here's the trick: File, Export, Color Lookup Tables.
Okay.
And all you want to make sure is that you pick either 3DL or Cube. One or the other, either one works. Just make sure one of those is checked. You tell this okay, and then you're going to give it a name and a place for it to go. I'll put it in my downloads folder, and I'll call it
Okay.
Oh, and I'll put my initials on it so that I know it's one that I made. So I'm saving it in my downloads folder. It's there, which means if I wanted, without closing and reopening Photoshop, if I wanted to put that on an image, I could go here to color lookup and say load. And then if I went to my downloads folder, there it is. And I can pick it from there since I know it's there. And there it just does it in one fell swoop. But we want that to be in the list. So in order for that to actually be in the list to choose from and not remember that it's in the downloads folder, I'm going to close Photoshop. All right, so there it is in my downloads folder. And I also where you want to go is, at least on a Windows machine, program files, Adobe Photoshop 2025, presets, and let me go back up. It might not be under presets. It's
3D LUTs. You're in the right place.
Oh yeah, 3D LUTs. There it is. Thank you, Lynn. Yes, it is there. 3D LUTs. Put it there.
Is that 3D LUT something you named originally, or
Nope,
is that
that's
what
an
it's
Adobe
called?
name. That's
Okay.
these are the lookup tables.
Okay, got
See?
it. Okay.
Recognize all these names?
Yeah, got
That's
it.
that list that you see in Photoshop. And so
Okay.
now here's my bleach bypass high key, which means now when I open Photoshop,
I'm sure glad you
Oh,
recorded.
and Photoshop actually was open. All right. Relaunch Photoshop, and now Photoshop will find that and it'll be in the list. So now if I like that high key bleach bypass look anytime in the future, there it is. One fell swoop instead of remembering, oh yeah, how did I do those 5 different adjustment layers to get to that look? That's how you make your own.
Cool.
So any questions on any of that? Anything else that you want to see, or do you want to see any of that again, or anything? This is wide open.
I don't know. You're on a roll. Keep going. I mean, I'm just glad these things are recorded.
Well, let's see. Where can we go from here? I was allowing for some more time for questions and whatnot. So we've still got about 25 minutes. So so I can go anywhere from here. I can open up any image, do anything you want to see.
I have a slightly unrelated question. I know that we can go look up in some of the recent changes to Lightroom and Photoshop, but one of the big ones was the addition of a denoise feature in Lightroom. How, in your opinion, how does that Lightroom denoise feature compare to Topaz denoise?
It's pretty good. I've used it in a couple instances where I've wanted to just be, quick and use it there for certain things, just to be quick about some things, and I've been happy with it. Now, a lot of my, I say, all my newer material, for the last many years, has been done with Fujifilm cameras. So I do a lot of my initial work in Capture One before it comes to Lightroom, because Lightroom does not have a demosaicing algorithm for X-Trans RAW files. So it's demosaicing the X-Trans RAW files from Fuji with a bare filter demosaicing, and it induces some artifacts that make denoising and sharpening not so much of a good thing when the raw file has been demosaiced incorrectly in the first place. There's artifacts in there that are kind of like they become detected as noise and they look weird. And so I do some stuff in Capture One first before it ever comes to Lightroom. But if it's something that's not going to, it's just something quick going to the web at web resolution or something, nobody's going to see those artifacts, and I will use it quickly. But for some older raw files that I've had to pull up and use that were shot with the Pentax DSLRs and stuff, yep, it's good. That's my answer to that. Yeah, it is good from what I've seen and used of it.
Yeah, there's a couple of new things in there they added recently, that reflection removal, which works terrible unless it's a picture window. And the people one is, it's sort of there, but
yeah, I've been using
some of them and not take out all of them.
Yeah, I've been using them with some of my students, and the denoise has been working well on some cell phone photos and some Nikon photos with students, and the people remover tool is still hit and miss, but it's actually, I found it's much faster to just put a paintbrush over the people yourself and then tell it to take them out than to wait for the AI to pick out the people and then miss half the people and miss half of their appendages and whatnot. So I have found so far it's actually easier to knock them out with the to paint them with the brush and then tell them remove than to try and let it detect what's people and what's not people, because it's still in Lightroom, it's still not great. Let me see if I can.
Thank you.
Let's see if we can find something to work with, on that. Well, I know there's some people in some of these from this one, although mostly the people were in video from here. Hey, we know that guy. Maybe we don't want him in that shot.
Looks kind of pissed off that you're taking his picture.
let's see if it considers him a distraction.
I'm going to be the subject of that.
I know. That's why I say, let's see if AI considers you a distraction or a subject.
I wish there was a way you could subtract and add to the selection like you can in the masking.
And Lightroom agrees with you, Brian. No distractions found.
Not a distraction.
No distractions found.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that you can't subtract or add to it. I think maybe, this is beta, so they might add more to it later, because you can add and subtract to a mask. I don't know why you can't add and subtract from a person.
You can. You can.
I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Oh, well, I'll find something then with more people in it and see if I can show you what I found about that.
When you're using it in Lightroom, does it still use your credits?
No.
Okay.
And you do get, here's the thing, you get 3 variations right here. See what this says, 1 of 3. Yep, there's 2 of 3, and there's 3 of 3. Actually, let's see, not too shabby.
Number 3 is good.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to get rid of that stupid white thing on the bottom.
Yep, right there.
There.
Yeah, it added that. Well, that was there all along, apparently.
There. That's part of the waterfall.
Oh, it's a railing.
Oh, yeah, right there. That's
it's
right.
a piece of a railing. That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah.
Wet, dry falls, huh?
What's that?
Good old wet, dry falls. That's dry falls, isn't it?
Yeah. The very wet, dry falls.
Where is that, Lynn? Is that in I've been there, but I can't remember.
No, those are North Carolina. Dry Falls is in North Carolina.
Yeah, and now I'm imagining seeing people.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Just off the subject, that mushroom right there next to your picture, is that edible?
No.
Okay.
It's photogenic, but it's not edible.
It is.
Well,
photogenic ones usually aren't very edible.
Let me see something here. See if there's more people in any of these from before. Yeah, here's some pictures other people took on a trip and sent them to me. Ooh, talk about a blue color cast. Now let's see what it thinks. Who's distracting?
Yeah.
Oh, no distractions found. And again, you can still just turn on the brush, and get rid of things. Oh, I didn't do so good with Bruce over there. I was pretty sloppy. But in any case, we got to find something where it says people are. Oh, look! It replaced Bruce with a
Look like a
with
creature.
a really horrible mannequin. All right, we won't bother with that. Okay, there are some people that it might consider distracting in this.
I don't understand. I mean, to be honest with you, as much as I love shortcuts and stuff, I do not understand why I need to have my program tell me what's distracting because it's subjective.
Yeah. Okay. See, it found that person back there that it
Yeah.
thinks is distracting. If you see the pin, Lynn,
Yeah.
if you click the pin
Huh.
and then hit your delete button on your keyboard, and then it decides, oh, I'll leave that person in.
Okay. So what if I want to take other people out though?
That's when you have to brush. So now
Okay,
let's go
okay.
ahead. Let's let it do that
I'm
again.
saying I wish it, if it clicked on one and then I mean, I did one the other day and there were two people and I want to get rid of both of them and only picked one of them as a distraction. I'm like,
Yes,
I'm
and
all of them now.
that's what you have to do. If it picks them, you can let it undo the people that it picks and then go in with the brush afterward, or you can just brush them all yourself, which is
Well, I mean, the point is, I mean, I thought the point was to be able to, I mean, they show an example online, when they first put it out, when
they'll show you great
what's
examples.
new,
Yeah.
they eliminated a whole freaking crowd. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
how do they do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And you can't add to the brush.
and in practice, working with my students, that's what I found is not the case. It's not as good as the examples that they show
No.
online. And that's why I haven't even reverted to wasting time waiting for it to decide who's a distraction and who's not. That's why I've been saying, okay, no, let's,
Yeah. Yeah,
it,
because the remove tool is actually much better than it was.
yeah. Oh, yeah. But the AI is, as far as detecting, what's distracting and what's not, I find it's just much quicker to do that and decide myself rather than wait for the AI to decide and then realize, oh, well, you didn't pick everybody that I don't like anyway, and I have to go back and do this again.
They also have they have reflections on here. It does not work very good at all unless you've got a plate glass window and you're standing in front of it. That's probably the only time it's going to work. Any other kind of reflections, it doesn't work on. Believe me.
Yeah, I try to remove reflections from eyeglasses. It doesn't work for that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's very limited in its functionality.
Why they don't add a wire removal, which everybody else has, I don't understand, but
mm-hmm. I did actually see the reflection removal work fairly decently the other day because I had photos that were taken in the boardroom at Ocean Prime, which is two walls are glass, and that you see through to the rest of the restaurant, and it's nothing but reflections and glare and whatnot, and it did actually do some some helpful things there. No, it didn't get rid of it entirely. No, it wasn't magical, but it was helpful. And that's the only instance I've ever had where it's ever even worked to the point where I could say, oh, that was helpful.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that's oh, I know where there's lots of people.
Get rid of that Camera Club. What else was new on the library? I can't remember now.
Got to go to a different catalog.
Oh, guys, I put that link for TK luminance or color grading that Diana found. It's in the chat.
Is it a standalone or is it within that program? I didn't get a chance to look at it. I was trying to focus for a change.
I just sent them the
Okay.
link.
You don't even know.
There's some sequences from a time lapse. So I know there's people in the background in these from the time lapse sequence. Okay, well, it found everybody but one person. But if you wanted to keep somebody in, you can click the pin and then hit delete on your keyboard. And then that's how you can say, oh no, I want to leave that person in.
So, but
But
there's no
even
way.
if I take all these people out from here, I'm still going to have to go back on my own and take that guy out that that it thinks is important or doesn't know that it's a person.
I would hope at some point they'll let you add and subtract like you did,
Yes.
like you did with the mask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, add and subtract using object selection so that it, says, oh yeah, there's an object that, it's a person. Because then, yes, you have to come here, turn on the brush and, and say, oh, we don't like him either. We just want to see a campsite full of backpacks and tents.
It removed that woman that you told it not to delete.
Oh, I turned it back on again. Oh, and see, look what it did. It just replaced him. It replaced him with a guy in a ski mask. Look, this guy's coming in. He's stealing things from the campsite. Oh, look. Yeah, and see there, it wouldn't remove him at all. It just says no. A person has to be there.
It's packing the groceries.
So
that's kind of creepy.
There you go. There's the limitations. Yeah. Look, nobody was looking, and the ski mask bandit came to the campsite. Yeah, that's there you go. There's a perfect example of limitations of that. Now you do have the option, to generate again, which means we might get 3 more people. I had to laugh. I used this. Yeah, there. Yeah, look, we're gonna get 3 more people. I tried this the other day. I photographed a home, and on the pool deck patio, I didn't notice at the time I photographed it that the one of the tables where the patio furniture was had an ashtray on it, and I was like, oh, let me make that ashtray go away. So I used this. I clicked the brush, clicked on the ashtray, told it to remove, and it gave me a rabbit, a doll, or a candy bar. And I'm like, okay, no, I just want it to go away. I don't, I especially don't want a rabbit sitting on the table. Yeah, it gets the idea that, you instead of you wanting it to disappear, which it did with all these other people, that you need something else in its place instead of just making it disappear. So that's still what
if you unclick use generative AI and then try to do it up
point.
Up above use
where
it says use generative
right here there's an option.
Above up
higher.
Oh, you tried that. Yeah,
that.
Okay,
take that
let's
out.
just see what it does, because I just learned something myself, that there's a generative remove and there's a remove.
Yeah,
let's see the difference. Oh, look, remove makes them go away.
Blurred him.
Sort of. He's
sort of.
Are still there.
Mm-hmm.
You
Doesn't
get
work.
no choices. You just have to keep refreshing, and refresh does not work very well.
No, it just makes it muddier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a mess. Let's just try this. Okay. Let's go here. All right.
What about
All
detect
right. We
object?
do not have generative eye turned on. Let's see with the just the detect objects, but without the generative AI.
Nope.
Yeah, it's a blurry mess.
That's a
Yeah.
big.
Oh, yeah, that's
With the legs still there.
pretty awful. And let's go back and yeah, okay, generative AI, but we'll set it to
See, well, there, so you can add and subtract like that one. You can add and subtract on it. That's why I don't understand why they didn't do it on the people, the distraction removal, but maybe they just haven't gotten there yet.
and you notice this fill option doesn't appear until after the first time you generate.
Yeah.
Now, after you generate, now you have an option for heal, clone, or remove, which I know healing and cloning are just going to be a mess. And yeah, and apparently, as we saw before, remove
It just makes a big mess too.
is, yeah, that's still a mess also. Yep. So yeah, it just doesn't like, there's, there we're just revealing the flaw in the system so far with that. So
Did we have a ski mask where the person was sitting down?
say it again.
It looked like we got to another ski mask figure a while ago,
Oh,
but sitting down.
yeah, could be.
How
Could be.
creepy.
So, but yeah, that's the stuff there. And any other questions or anything you want to see, and anybody that's interested, let me know. The some of the key points about the other things I announced. I'm going to do some modifications to the summer outing that I did last year, but anybody that attended last year can go for free this year.
Which one was that, Jim?
Uh,
Bring up, bring up the
one,
website, Jim.
the one where we donated a GoPro camera to Davy Jones' locker.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. I feel very strongly about that one.
Well, you can go back for free this time if you want. I'm gonna do that again, and anybody that went before
I really
can
did
go for
enjoy
free.
that. I would recommend that one, and I would truly recommend the one that we did in January, Jim. That was really
Yeah,
and
I've got
and instead of maybe going to the bird area that was kind of I mean, it was okay. There weren't that many birds when we went. I would almost try to spend time
yeah, I
somewhere
had
somewhere
I
else.
had a couple people that I trust were saying that was the great place to be at that time for birds, and that was not true. So,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
seascapes were good. But I've got and I've got
Is there another?
Smokies, the Smoky Mountains for fall in October, and the big one I'm doing this year is the is Death Valley and surrounding areas. And anybody that's been on any one of my tours before will get 10% off on that if you want to go. And like I say, I just was there a couple of weeks ago for just in time for the record heat wave, and got cooked out there. But I got some of the best photos and videos, of anything that I've done out there. I made a short little video that's just a short version of a long video I'm going to make just for me personally from that trip that's on the tour promotion. But even though it was 127 degrees for several days in a row, I just really got some amazing things out there and found some cool places and have a cool itinerary worked out on that one. And I do have some people already booked for that from actually another group I'm in that's a non-photography group, but I've got some people booked for that one. And
When is that one again?
that one's in November. That one's the like this right about the second to third week of November. Second week of November, I think, is that one. And the one for the Smoky Mountains in the fall. They told me rooms are booking up fast for the fall season out there. So anybody that is interested in that wants to make sure they get their rooms booked because they're getting heavily booked for fall color season there.
Do you have a discount on that one? Did you have a group discount for the hotel? If we go through your.
I have a travel agent that's getting a group rate.
Okay.
Yeah, the travel agent's information is on the webpage. If you book through her, she's getting a group rate at the place. So that's the
I'm going to be in Acadia.
that's the story there. And yeah, but I'll tell you, I am really looking forward to being in Death Valley again, and I'm looking forward to being there when the temperature range is supposed to be typically 48 to 77. Where
nice there when it's in the 40s.
when I was there, the lowest temperature I saw was 104 degrees at 4 in the morning. It ranged from 104 to 127. I do have actual photos of a guy cooking bacon and eggs on the hood of his car. He was a German tourist, and I was talking to him, and we were laughing that the eggs were actually cooking on his hood, and it was really messy. And I commented about how messy it was, and he had this thick German accent, and he said, "It's a rental car." Yeah.
So, Jim, I do have a suggestion for, I have no idea how reasonable this is, but for a future potluck, it might be, if it's possible, if reasonable, if you would go through some of the things that you do to streamline your workflow. So when you have to do things over and over again, how you automate that.
Oh, okay. That's Actions. Yeah, you're familiar with Actions?
Okay, that's basically.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. On the stuff that I do repetitively, I shoot it in a manner that I know will feed my actions. And then I have the actions, set to either F keys. They're either set to F keys on my keyboard or, onto here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So none of that works
What
with
is it you're holding up?
What is
it?
It's a console. There's many different brands of these. This particular one is Loop Deck. I can't recommend it to you because this particular one is discontinued because Logitech bought the company, and Logitech discontinued this one, and now is working on making their own branded version of this one now that Logitech bought the company. But this one has all these buttons are totally programmable to work in Photoshop and Lightroom and Premiere Pro, and a bunch of your common functions can be done here, so that you don't have to go to drop-down menus and choose things out of drop-down menus. You can get them right on buttons. And also anything that's on sliders, you see there's knobs.
Yes.
So your sliders can be on knobs. So in Lightroom, exposure, shadows, highlights, color balance, all those are on knobs here. I can just twist knobs instead of getting a mouse on a little triangle slider and sliding it. I can just twist knobs. Same thing.
Old school.
Same thing in Photoshop. I'm always changing my brush size and opacity. So in Photoshop, this is my brush size dial and this is my opacity dial on my brush. I'm just constantly adjusting my brush size and opacity with these two knobs instead of going to the keyboard and anywhere else to do that. So I'm constantly doing that, plus a bunch of other shortcuts on here that I have for those things. So some of the streamlining is on here, but like I say, you can make actions and assign them to the F keys. And if you can remember them, that's the thing. You have to remember in your mind. That's why I like this. You know, the buttons, say right on them what they are, and you can customize the icon and the colors and the words and everything. You can totally customize what any key looks like on these. And so that's easy to know what's what. With actions, you can have an action on F keys, F1 through 12, and Alt F1 through 12, and Control F1 through 12, and Alt Control F1 through 12, or Command and Option on a Mac. But you've got to remember in your head, oh, this action I want is Control F3. Oh, this action I want is Alt F8. This is much more visually intuitive than trying to remember what actions you have on what F keys. So, but there are some that, I have my most common actions on F keys that I had for so many years before I ever bought this, that those are ingrained in my memory. And there's half a dozen actions on F keys that I just have memorized, that my hands go to, just like playing a video game. I can literally be, doing this in my chair, but my hand is still going where it needs to go on my keyboard. So yeah, but that's a great suggestion, Brian, is implementing how to implement actions for those things that are repetitive, because a lot of the work that I do is repetitive. So I put it on actions. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a good suggestion. Yeah. Anything else before we call it a night?
Thanks for doing this.
Because I'm on no schedule. I can stay as long as anybody wants to stay and do anything.
Thanks, Jim. Very good as usual.
Thank you.
Well, thanks.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. It was a great presentation.
Yeah. I'm
And I'm
sorry I
glad you
missed the last
recorded
meeting,
it.
but that's where I was. I was getting toasted in Death Valley when the last meeting happened. So
Well, it sounds like fun.
oh boy, I love it there. I absolutely love it there, and I did some special and unique things, and and really really looking forward to anybody that will go out there and do that with me later this year.
So that's on your
Take a look.
website, or?
Yeah, I sent out in the same email that had this. There was
I never got this. I get the thing
Oh.
about the meeting app from Diana's
Mm-hmm.
email.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
And if anybody just wants to see the Death Valley movie, I'd show that if you haven't already watched it.
I'll watch it. I don't think I've seen it.
I had fun, and it's my short version of what's going to be something much longer, but it's just my promo. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
thanks, guys. Looking forward to the next meeting.
Is that the traveling tripod?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I got it. I got it.
That's it.
Connection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oops.
Okay, good night.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you again.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Jim.
Hi, Jim. I have a question for you before you go
Oh, okay. Well,
about the workshop.
you want me to
You can stop the recording.
oh yeah. So let me scoot that over. Let me find where the stop record. There it is. Stop recording.